I feel like we might have started out in the middle. Let's back up to the beginning, shall we?
Yeah, let's. Welcome to our podcast, Broken Spines at the End of the World, where we talk about all things writing and reading. I'm Ellen.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we'll actually introduce ourselves.
We are two women around 30, living in two different countries, but we started a podcast together. How did that happen? Ellen, do you remember how we met?
Well, apart from the fact that I feel like we've always kind of known each other, I do realize that that's not actually true. I think
it does feel much longer than it actually is.
It does feel much longer than it actually is. I think we met on Instagram, probably just talking about books that we liked, like maybe 3 years ago or something like that.
I was wondering how long it's actually been. I thought about like scrolling back in our chat to see where it started, but
very annoying for that.
Also, that would just take another 3 years. Like, no, we're not doing that. So we're estimating. And we're estimating what? 3 years maybe.
Well, I asked you to write this book with me about a year ago. And we've known each other for a while before that, because otherwise I wouldn't have asked you if we didn't
that would have been
already weird. Yeah, if we didn't already know each other pretty well at that point.
Yeah.
So my estimation is like a good year and a half to 2 years before that. And we started talking quite a lot, or like quite regularly, very quickly, I feel like. It just became very clear that we are very alike. We have the same interests, not completely, but that makes it interesting because you tell me stuff that I need to look into and I tell you stuff that you need to look into. But like the basis is pretty similar, which I think makes it so much easier for us to get along because a lot of things are just the same.
Brings that comfortable feeling of not having to explain yourself all the time.
Exactly.
You can just hint at what it is you're feeling and you are being understood.
Exactly. So yeah, then after lots of talking and getting to know each other, then came the point, like I said, about a year ago, where I sent you a writing prompt because I collect those for the days where I don't feel very inspired. I just scroll through them and see what strikes my fancy. And there was this one that I really, really liked, and it just said vampires in World War II would mean, and then like a couple of bullet points. And I remember sending it to you and just saying this, but make it vampires in World War One because I like that time period better. And you just said yes.
Yes.
And everything kind of started from there.
Yeah, I remember it was some sort of Tumblr post, I think, that you sent me.
I think so.
With the writing prompt in it. And I remember in the end it said something along the lines of, why is no one writing this? And while I was reading the writing prompt, I was like, yeah, why isn't anyone writing this? Also, why am I not writing this? So now we are.
So now we are writing it, yeah.
Stay tuned if you want to read it.
It is being written. Some days more than others, but eventually we'll get there.
Some days more than others, true, but I was flipping back through some notes today and we started researching pretty much about a year ago.
Yes. And we researched for about 6 months before we started writing.
Things have been in the works already.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously on some days it's going better than others. Like right now it's going slow, I think, because there's just a lot of life happening all around us. But we are making steps forward and we have very many characters that are already so dear to me. So I'm so excited.
Yes, I also really like our characters. Maybe we should explain what the book we are writing is actually about.
Yeah, you do that. You're good at that.
I was just going to say that's always the most difficult thing. Like if you say that you're writing a book, people will then go, "Oh, what is it about?" And everyone just freezes. Like,
Yeah, because I then literally go like, it's like vampires
in
in
World War One.
World War One, but like it's not Twilight, but it's also like not Dracula. It's like, and then I stop because I don't know how to go.
Well, first off, I think it's important to say that our vampires, we are almost at the midpoint of the story, and we haven't called them vampires yet. I don't think we will. We're at 35,000 words, and the word vampire hasn't been written, which is because we see our vampire characters more as ancient beings than blood-sucking, sparkly. I don't even know what I would describe
The
normal
thing is,
vampires
I
as.
think nowadays vampires get connected to sparkly beings that avoid the sun and to romanticized villains who are drop dead gorgeous and I have no idea what they do.
Characters
But
are drop dead gorgeous.
I mean, obviously, but that's not the point.
Okay, sorry, then I missed the point.
Now she distracted me. There's so many different kind of vampire myths out there, and it's a creature so old, literally, within the myths, that there's just so much more than just the pop culture vampire that we connected with these days.
So yeah, we have the vampire aspect, and then there are some politics in there because we have a new wave of vampires who want to do things different. They want to move forward. They have big plans, and they just don't agree with the way that things have been going for centuries. They want to do it differently. And then we also have World War One. So World War One is basically our backdrop. It's happening at first in the background, but then later everything sort of comes together, and our vampires find themselves at the front lines, where being a vampire is a good thing because they're quite a bit stronger, so not as easy to kill, but it's also a not very great thing because they are constantly surrounded by dying humans.
It's a very tempting situation.
It's not
for
ideal.
anyone who is into blood.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it has a bit of a mystery that needs solving and answers that need to be found. It also has a little bit of romance, but not too much, Yeah. But
so it's a bit of mystical. It's there, definitely. So it's a bit of mystical monsters, a bit of politics, a bit of
history,
loyalty, history, found family. Basically all our favorite themes put into one book.
Yep.
And hopefully the outcome will be gorgeous.
I don't even doubt it because I love it already. And we're not even halfway through yet. I'm already so in love with all of our characters and like where the story is progressing to. I'm convinced.
True. I would like to have your confidence, but that's why I have you. You can boost mine.
I think why we work together so well for this writing project is because you build a lot of the mythological and fantasy half of the book. And then I went and researched certain events that I wanted to use in the story. So places and dates and battles where I wanted our characters to end up. So a lot of the events that happen actually happened. And it can be like the big things, like certain battles, but also like small things, like certain things that happen to characters that actually happened to people. So it's all based on true events.
Mm.
We just gave it a little fantasy sauce.
Which is what
think
makes
so.
it so exciting to me. Like you bring in the facts and I bring in the legends and we blend, and out comes our own weird little tale. And
True.
I mean, we are in the process of writing it, but I'm also so excited to read it once it's done. Is that
Soon.
weird?
Well, you can
Soon.
read it while we edit it
True. Many, many, many times.
many times. So yeah, that's the book that we're writing. Maybe to segue back to us as people, because the story is such a big part of our story. It also led to a lot of different things because we didn't actually meet until this summer. So I say that we met 3 years ago, which is true because we met online and we talked a lot digitally.
Yeah.
And then we had the idea to meet up
Physically. Because
physically
people do that apparently.
in real life. What a concept.
With like hugging and stuff. Like it was
Being
nice.
in the same room.
Figuring out that you're actually not as tall as I thought you were.
True, that was one of the first things that you said to me. You're really not that tall. Like, well, sorry. Sorry to disappoint.
It wasn't meant to sound disappointed. In my head, you were tall.
Maybe
I mean,
we're
you
just
are
both
tall,
tall.
but just not as, yeah, true. I just figured you'd be taller than me. But that's okay. Like, we're not holding it against you.
Okay, good. Because I
But yeah,
can't do anything about it except for wear heels.
that sounds too exhausting. Let's not go there.
Okay, sneakers it is.
But yeah, we met this summer.
Yes.
It was not an easy task.
No, it almost
at all.
didn't happen.
Yeah, because first, for the longest time, the pandemic was against us. And then once we saw our window and we figured we take our chance, global warming decided to really show its face once again. And the weather was absolutely batshit crazy. There were floods all over Europe. So your trains got cancelled.
My trains got cancelled, exactly.
The train tracks were literally missing.
Yeah.
And then the whole ordeal started. Like you tried to fly here, but then you missed your flight again because your trains were delayed because of the flood.
It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then.
I had some near panic attacks. It was a very stressful Friday.
Yes, it wasn't a great day. But eventually I got there a day late, but I got there. And then we ate ramen.
We ate ramen. We watched some dramas. It was great. We started this basically.
Yes.
Like the idea of it, at least. We didn't actually record anything, but we did start up our Instagram account for Broken Spines. So we started writing, and then after a while we actually met, and now we're also doing this podcast. Where do we go from here?
Good question. Well, hopefully we'll finish writing this book and then edit it and then have someone else edit it. And then
we will finish this book.
Get it published eventually.
Yes, please.
And then write another, because we have plans.
We have plans. We have ideas. Yes. They just keep adding on and piling up, really. It's ridiculous.
So funny because we started with this just being a standalone. But then we found this character and we were like, we need to give this character his own story arc. So that was book 2. And then we kept thinking, wait, wouldn't it be great if we did this and then that? So it became 3 books.
Too much for 2 books. Yeah.
Now it's a trilogy.
And then we have some extra ideas for novellas.
Yes. Like prequels and sequels and stuff. Yeah.
If we have the time and the energy, this is going to be huge.
It's an entire world we could write about. because we do try to be inclusive, like to incorporate as many voices as we can. Because
Yes, and there's no reason for vampires to only be European
true.
because they're
they
literally ancient. Like they can
yeah,
walk even somewhere if they have the time. Why shouldn't they?
true.
So our world is endless.
Yes,
It's
the
scary.
possibilities are endless. We could basically do anything we want.
Vampires in space.
Well,
Just
you,
throwing it out there. Like
you never
not in a
know.
penis-shaped rocket, but
People have
somehow.
gone to space. Is it that difficult
That's
to
true.
believe that there was a vampire amongst them?
Ooh.
I mean, it's possible.
Stay tuned to find out. Book 14.
What do we want to accomplish? Well, we want to write.
That's basically all we want, yeah.
That's
We
the
just
very
want to
short
write.
answer. And we happen to really enjoy this story that we're writing. So it would be great to add more stories.
I mean, the long answer would include lots of hopes and dreams for like achievements,
Mm-hmm.
publicly recognized achievements, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is scary. But the short answer really is just we want to write. We want to
Yes.
write stories that we would love to read,
True.
which is what we're trying.
Yes. And we hope that we'll get to a point, and I do believe that we'll get there, that we get to a point where other people can read them too,
That would be amazing.
and that we can then meet up and people can tell us what they liked or did not like about the book. Like we've made it this far. Like we said, we're almost at the halfway point. The second half is even more exciting. Not gonna lie, we have a couple more chapters to write. Like I think maybe 3 more until we're at midpoint, and then everything is just going to go insane. And I'm
so excited.
Because of course we know what's going to happen, or like we know most of the big action points that are going to happen, and it's just going to be insane.
It's usually the little details of the batshit crazy chaos that excite me beyond anything really while I write them, because they come to you like at that moment and you're like, oh my fucking god, yes, let's put that in. That would be so cool.
I just remembered I started putting in a little secret double layer that Sarah doesn't know about either.
She's keeping things from me.
I am. I was writing a chapter and I thought, wait, wouldn't it be amazing if this or this happened? And I was like, I'm just going to write it and see how long it takes Sarah to figure it out.
Well, we'll see.
So yeah.
I'm gonna go now and reread all the chapters that we already have.
The moment that I wrote it, I thought this just connects so beautifully to like other things that I'd written, like from previous chapters. And I thought, I can't like let this one go. I have to write it. So yeah, there's a little secret in there. And I'm really excited about it because it's going to blow up into something quite big. And I'm not going to tell you until you figure it out.
That is so mean. I need to know. I'm gonna go read everything now.
Oh,
but also I love that magic when everything just falls into place. Things you didn't really see in the beginning, that they would match so well or that they would intertwine this perfectly, but somewhere in the back of your brain all that weaving has already happened.
Yeah,
you have just not been told yet.
Oh yeah, there are definitely clues already, but not enough. Like not enough to figure it out yet. But over the next couple of chapters there will be more.
Well, go write them, please.
I'm so happy with myself.
I can tell.
So if you want to figure out what the secret is, you'll have to be patient. Let us
Yes.
finish this book.
Yes, please be patient, but also please stay tuned.
Yes, in the meantime, you can just stick around. Wait for Sarah to figure it out, because she'll definitely let you know once she does.
This is us as a pair. We hope you enjoyed this episode of our podcast, Broken Spines at the End of the World. Stay tuned for the next one. And if you're into vampires, found family, and a little bit of heartbreak, stay tuned for our book.